First contact fears. The emergency alarm blared throughout the Nexus station, the administrative heart of the Galactic Coalition. Admiral Zexterra's membrane-thin ears flattened against his scaled head as he rushed through the curved corridors. 300 cycles as High Commander of the Coalition Defense Fleet, and never once had the Class 1 emergency signal been activated. "Report," he demanded, sweeping into the command center where a dozen different species huddled around the central holographic display. Science Director Pelmora, her forearms moving frantically over the control interfaces, looked up with all three of her eyes wide with concern. Unknown vessel approaching from the uncharted sectors. "Admiral, its energy signature exceeds anything in our database." The hologram showed a sleek, angular ship cutting through space with purposeful velocity. Unlike the elegant biological curves of Coalition vessels, this craft bristled with what appeared to be weapon emplacements and armor plating. "Threat assessment?" Zexterra asked, studying the projection. "Off the charts," replied Security Chief Drontax, his crystalline body reflecting the red emergency lights. "Our scanners detect energy weapons powerful enough to crack a small moon, and the hull composition includes elements we've never encountered." The central chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the gathered officials. The Galactic Coalition had maintained peace among 200 species for nearly a millennium. Their technological superiority had been unchallenged until now. "We've intercepted their communications," announced Communications Specialist Lavi, her tentacles connected to the neural interface. "It's a language unknown to our translators, but the patterns suggest high intelligence." "Can we determine their intentions?" asked Zexterra, maintaining his composure despite the growing panic around him. "The vessel is broadcasting on all frequencies," Lavi replied. "It appears to be an announcement of their presence rather than a warning or threat." Administrator Vexhall, the political head of the Coalition, entered the chamber with a flutter of his ceremonial wings. "The Council is demanding immediate action. Half want to dispatch the defense fleet. The others suggest withdrawal to safe space." Zexterra studied the projection again. Something about the vessel's approach didn't align with an invasion force. It traveled alone, made no attempt to disguise its presence, and maintained a steady, predictable course. "Neither," he decided finally. "We will establish contact." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. "With respect, Admiral," Drontax interjected, his voice resonating through his crystalline form, "our simulations suggest this vessel could eliminate our entire defense fleet. And yet it approaches openly, broadcasting its presence," Zexterra countered. "That is not the behavior of a conqueror." With reluctant agreement from Administrator Vexhall, Zexterra ordered a small diplomatic vessel prepared. The Coalition prided itself on peaceful resolution. Running away or attacking preemptively would violate their most fundamental principles. 3 cycles later, Zexterra stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Harmony, watching as they approached the mysterious ship. Up close, its construction was even more impressive, a marvel of engineering that somehow blended brutalist functionality with undeniable elegance. "They're responding to our hails," Lavi announced, her tentacles quivering with tension. The view screen flickered and revealed a creature none of them had ever seen before. It stood upright on 2 limbs, with 2 upper appendages and a head that contained all visible sensory organs. Its skin appeared soft and vulnerable, lacking scales, exoskeletons, or crystalline structures. Yet despite this apparent fragility, the creature carried itself with unmistakable confidence. "Greetings," it spoke, the translation matrix finally adapting to its language. "This is Captain Elena Chen of the United Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. We come in peace." The tension on the bridge noticeably eased, though suspicion remained. Peace declarations were standard diplomatic protocol, even before devastating attacks. "I am Admiral Zexterra of the Galactic Coalition," he replied. "Your vessel has caused considerable concern among our people. Our scans indicate significant weapons capabilities." The human, as they called themselves, nodded. "The Horizon is equipped for defense, yes. We've encountered hostile species during our exploration, but we're primarily a research and diplomatic vessel. Drontax scoffed audibly. Our scans indicate over 60% of your ship's systems are dedicated to what appear to be offensive capabilities. Captain Chen's expression changed subtly, a slight elevation of the tissue above her visual organs. That's a significant overestimation. May I ask what technology you're using to scan our vessel? Science Director Pelmora explained their quantum resonance scanning techniques. Ah, said Chen with understanding. Our hull contains multiphasic shielding that would confuse such scanners. What you're reading as weapon systems are primarily our propulsion technology, life support redundancies, and research equipment. The explanation seemed plausible, but Coalition officials remained skeptical. Human physiology appeared deceptively simple, making their emotional states difficult to read. If I may, Chen continued, we've been transmitting our historical and cultural database since entering your space, standard protocol for our first contact scenarios. Have you received it? Lavi confirmed they had, though the data volume was enormous and largely unprocessed. Perhaps that's where we should begin, suggested Zexterra, understanding one another. Over the next cycle, Coalition specialists immersed themselves in human history. What they discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. Humans had evolved on a planet with extreme environmental variations, forcing adaptability that no Coalition species had needed to develop. Their historical records showed countless wars among themselves, a concept almost incomprehensible to Coalition members, whose species had each achieved internal peace before space travel. Most alarming was humanity's rapid technological advancement. They had progressed from primitive flight to interstellar travel in less than 300 years, a pace that defied all Coalition models of technological evolution. They're dangerous, concluded Administrator Vex Hall after reviewing the reports. Their history is soaked in conflict, and they advance too quickly to predict. They're survivors, countered Zexterra. Look deeper. Each conflict led to cooperation on larger scales. Their greatest achievements came after their most devastating wars. The debate raged throughout the station, with Coalition officials divided on how to proceed. Meanwhile, Captain Chen had requested a face-to-face meeting, another unprecedented development. Coalition diplomatic protocols typically involve months of remote communication before physical encounters. Against considerable opposition, Zexterra approved the request. If humans were as dangerous as some feared, understanding them better was their only hope. The meeting would take place aboard the Nexus station itself, a gesture of trust that many thought foolish. As preparations were made, Zexterra spent hours studying human facial expressions and body language, determined to see beyond the frightening tales of their history. Their vessel is approaching the docking bay, announced Security Chief Drontax, who had insisted on tripling the station's defensive measures. Final approach vector is exactly as agreed. Zexterra nodded, satisfied but still cautious. First impressions were crucial in diplomacy, and he had the distinct feeling that the fate of the Coalition might hinge on the coming interaction. As the docking procedure completed, a new chapter in galactic history was about to unfold. For better or worse, humanity had arrived on the cosmic stage. Understanding the unknown. The diplomatic chamber aboard Nexus Station had been specially prepared for the human delegation. Environmental controls were adjusted to Earth standards, and the Coalition's finest xenobiologists had worked tirelessly to ensure no harmful pathogens would be exchanged. Tension filled the air as the sealed doors slid open. Captain Alina Chen entered first, followed by 4 other humans in uniforms that distinguished their roles: science, security, diplomacy, and engineering. Without their imposing vessel surrounding them, they appeared surprisingly unintimidating, smaller than most Coalition species and lacking obvious natural defenses. Admiral Zexterra, Chen greeted with a slight bow. Thank you for your hospitality. Allow me to introduce my team. The introductions proceeded smoothly, though the Coalition representatives struggled to distinguish between the humans, whose physical variations seemed subtle to non-human perceptions. Before we proceed, began Vexhall. Unable to contain his suspicion, we must address the concerning elements of your history that we've reviewed. Your species seems uniquely prone to conflict. Chen nodded, unsurprised by the challenge. We don't hide from our past, Administrator. Humanity has indeed waged terrible wars among ourselves, but each conflict taught us valuable lessons about cooperation, compromise, and the true cost of violence. And yet your vessel is equipped for war, countered Drontax. For defense, corrected Dr. Abrams, the science officer. The universe is vast and not always welcoming. We've encountered predatory species with no interest in dialogue. Which brings us to our true purpose, Chen continued. We're not here to conquer or threaten. We're searching for allies. This admission startled the coalition representatives. In their 1,000-year history, no species had approached them as equals seeking alliance. All had either been discovered by coalition explorers or had petitioned to join from positions of technological inferiority. Against whom? Asked Sextera carefully. We call them the Void Swarm, replied Chen, gesturing to her engineer, who projected a holographic display. They destroyed 3 of our colony worlds before we understood what we were facing. The hologram showed a mass of organic mechanical hybrid ships moving with a hive mind coordination that even the most synchronized coalition species couldn't match. The recordings of their attacks were horrifying. Planets stripped of all organic and technological resources within days. We've tracked their expansion pattern, continued Chen. We believe they'll reach coalition space within 5 years. The revelation hit like a gravitational collapse. The coalition, for all its diversity and technological achievements, had never faced an existential threat. Their military was largely ceremonial, designed for peacekeeping rather than warfare. Why should we believe this isn't a fabrication to manipulate us? Vexhall demanded, though his voice lacked conviction, as he watched the destruction unfold in the hologram. Verify it yourself, Chen responded simply. The stellar anomalies created by their quantum disruption drives can be detected across vast distances. We've included the frequency patterns in our data transmission. Science Director Pelmora was already analyzing the data, her 4 arms working independently across multiple interfaces. It's genuine, she confirmed reluctantly. I'm detecting identical patterns in 13 systems along the rim of explored space. The room fell silent as the implications settled. The Coalition's peaceful existence was threatened not by the humans they had feared, but by something far worse, and humanity had potentially saved them by providing early warning. We've been fighting them for 3 years, explained Security Chief Rivera, a human with dark skin and intense eyes. We've developed effective countermeasures, but we can't be everywhere at once. The swarm adapts quickly. Adaptability is a human specialty, added Chen. But even we have our limits. Together, though, your advanced theoretical sciences combined with our practical combat experience, we might stand a chance. Zexterra studied the humans with new understanding. Their history of conflict hadn't made them conquerors. It had prepared them for a threat that the peaceful coalition could never have withstood alone. What exactly are you proposing? He asked. A knowledge exchange to start, Chen replied. Your theoretical physicists are centuries ahead of ours in some areas. Meanwhile, we can help you retrofit your infrastructure for defense and train your people. Over the following days, the initial suspicion gave way to cautious collaboration. Human engineers marveled at coalition power systems, while coalition scientists were astonished by the practical applications humans had developed with far less theoretical understanding. They're intuitive where we're methodical, observed Pelmora after watching human engineers modify a coalition shield generator to triple its efficiency. They make creative leaps that our logical processes would never permit us to consider. The humans, for their part, were equally impressed by coalition achievements. Your quantum communication network is remarkable, Dr. Abrams told Pelmora. We theorized something similar, but the mathematical models always collapsed under scrutiny. That's because you're approaching it from 3-dimensional calculus, she explained. Our mathematicians work primarily in 11 dimensions. This pattern repeated across disciplines, coalition theories meeting human practicality, creating possibilities neither civilization had imagined alone. As the knowledge exchange deepened, so did understanding. Coalition members learned that human aggression was often simply decisive action in the face of threats. Humans discovered that what they perceived as coalition hesitancy was actually careful consideration of all perspectives, a value born from uniting hundreds of different species. 3 weeks after first contact, the Coalition Council convened to vote on the Human Alliance proposal. The chamber was packed with representatives from all member species, with Captain Chen and her team present as observers. We have verified the Void Swarm threat, announced Zexterra to the assembly, and we have witnessed the humans' willingness to share their knowledge freely. I recommend accepting their proposal. Murmurs filled the chamber as representatives consulted with their delegations. The vote that followed wasn't unanimous. Some species remained deeply suspicious of human intentions, but the alliance was approved by a substantial majority. In the aftermath, as formalities were exchanged and treaties drafted, Zexterra found himself alone with Captain Chen in the observation dome, gazing out at the human vessel docked alongside coalition ships. When we first detected your ship, he admitted, many wanted to flee. Others wanted to attack immediately. Your vessel frightened us. Chen smiled, an expression Zexterra was finally learning to read correctly. First impressions can be misleading. The horizon looks intimidating because we built it during wartime, but its primary mission has always been exploration and diplomacy. Like your species itself, Zexterra observed, evolved through conflict, yet ultimately seeking connection, while yours evolved through cooperation, yet capable of decisive action when necessary. Chen replied, perhaps that's why we found each other when we did. As preliminary reports confirmed Void Swarm activity edging closer to coalition space, the new alliance mobilized. Coalition shipyards began retrofitting vessels with human-designed defense systems. Human tactical experts trained coalition crews. Scientists from both civilizations worked around the clock to develop new technologies against the coming threat. 6 months later, when the first Void Swarm scouts appeared at the edge of coalition space, they encountered something unprecedented. Coalition elegance combined with human determination, theoretical brilliance married to practical ingenuity. The scouts were neutralized without a single coalition or human casualty. It was only the beginning of a long conflict, but the message had been sent across the stars. The coalition and humanity stood together, each making the other stronger than either could have been alone. The warning that had once spread fear throughout the Nexus station, caution, incoming human war vessel, had transformed into something else entirely, hope.